I have a bit of a treat for you today. Today, we are going to do a little lesson together. Well, not so much a lesson, but I'm going to guide you along. So whether you're planning on your first ride back, here's exactly what to do, by the way, or whether you're already riding fairly regularly and you just want to brush up on all the things that need to be brushed up on, you know, the important little basics that make all the difference. Today is the day we're going to ride together. So I want you to go get your horse, mount up, and I'll meet you in the arena just now. You ready? Let's go. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Lorna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and I work with riders from all over the world to help them to get back in the saddle on the regular, train their horse, have fun while doing it, and especially if they don't have a regular trainer or coach to work with. Okay, and today we are going to do a little something together. So as I mentioned, I do imagine right now that as you're listening to this, you are sitting pretty in the saddle, okay? You're always sitting pretty, I know, okay? But really and truly, you're up there, you're mounted up, you're ready to go. We are going to do this together. I'm so excited. Now, what I'm looking for here is that you are going to begin to do a little self-assessment. They're important, hey? And you're going to begin to figure out where potentially you could bring a little bit more awareness to your riding over the coming weeks as you begin to maybe improve things, change a few habits, get back into regular riding, you know, all of the things. Now, if you have not ridden for 110 years, this is also fine. You can do this too today, okay? This will actually help to keep you focused, keep you on track, keep your mind where you want it to be, because I know first time back in the saddle, things can just be jumping all about the place. So yes, if your big question has been, what do I do on my first ride back? Well, today is the answer to that question. So let's get started. Now, what I first want you to remember is that your body and your mind may need a little bit of time to, you know, adjust, okay, when it comes to getting back into the saddle. So go easy on yourself. Give yourself a bit of grace. Give yourself a lot of grace, okay? Pile the grace on, hey? And just enjoy it. I want you, not just today, but for your first few rides back. And even, again, if you are a regular rider, let the next few rides be all about increasing your own self-awareness rather than questioning yourself all the time if you're doing it right, okay? We are going for awareness over perfection here, folks. That is the goal of what we are working towards. So I want you to start off by obviously settling yourself into the saddle. And what we're going to do is we are going to, before we make any changes, we're just going to pause for a moment, okay? I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to just notice what's happening in your body right now. Now, ideally, I am imagining that you're halted. You're not walking anywhere. You're with your horse. You're in halt. Okay. If your horse is one of those, he's just a walkie and he's like, no. Halting is for like other horses, not for me. That's okay. Let him walk. Let's not stress out. Let's just walk. That's okay. But ideally, you are halted. You are standing still. And I want you to just begin to kind of assess how the tension is feeling overall in your body. Is there excessive tension creeping into any of the areas of your body? So let's start with your seat. We always want to start with the seat, hey? Let's start with your seat. Do you feel fairly even Steven in the saddle, meaning that there's kind of an equal amount of weight distributed over both seat bones? Don't make any changes, just notice. It's good to know. It's good to notice where you are right now, because chances are that's what's going to keep happening as you go on. So when you're become aware of it, aware of maybe things being not so even Steven right now, that means that you can then begin to correct that from the get-go. So don't make any corrections right now. Whoa, Tonto. Just notice, okay? Now from there, I want you just to Kind of have a little feel about your legs. Are your legs resting naturally? Are they draped like curtains? Or are they gripping a little bit? Very often when we get into the saddle, especially if we haven't ridden for a while, we can tend to have a little bit of excess tension through our legs. And whether it's your thighs, whether it's your knees, whether it's your calves, if you're gripping, just very gently unpeel yourself off the saddle, okay? Like, no, legs. Just relax there a little bit. I think it's really important. Okay, now I want to bring your attention to your hands and your reins. So how are you actually holding the reins? Are you gripping on for dear life? I always laugh at this because I think, okay, those two little straps of leather are not going to do a whole lot of anything. So gripping onto them for dear life is not really that helpful. In fact, what it's going to do is cause a little bit of excess tension. I want you to just picture that if your reins were sponges and there was water in those sponges and you wanted to keep some of the water in the sponge, how would your grip be for that? Would you be squeezing so hard that all the water is going to be out? So you're going to end up with two damp sponges? Or would you be holding them softly enough, gently enough, that there would still be water in the sponge? That's a good way to think about it when it comes to our hands and our reins. And then I also want you to bring your attention to your breathing. Are you breathing deeply? Are you holding your breath? How many people get on? They're like, and then they're almost turning blue up there. I want you, if you notice that, hold on, I may not be breathing as regularly as I should, talk to your horse. What I like to do in situations is I'll just tell the horse what I'm doing and what I plan on doing and how I have laid out expectations for whatever it is we're doing together and how I would like those expectations to play out. I talk to the horse all the time, and by talking to the horse, it ensures that I continue to breathe. So use that. Sing to your horse if you have to. Whatever it takes to keep your breath regular and happening, because it will not only help you to relax a little bit more, but it will also help your horse as well to attune to you and to get used to your voice. Okay, so that's important as well. And just keep in mind that, again, this first ride back, it's not about fixing things. It's more about noticing things. And I want you to pay attention, especially of old habits that potentially you've given a little piggyback to back into the saddle with you, because this is the absolute perfect opportunity that you have to make lasting changes to those old habits that maybe back when you rode regularly before, they plagued you a little. Now you've got this opportunity to actually make those changes. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, from here, we're going to just ask our horse to move forward into the walk. Now, first of all, your initial few steps, give yourself a little pat in the back, not really, in your head, okay? Don't take your hands off the reins, but give yourself a little pat in the back, congratulate yourself, look at that, you're on the horse, you're mounted up, you're in the saddle, you're doing it, hey? That is brilliant. That is really, really good. And while we are walking here, I want you to just bring your attention to your body, and you're going to begin to scan your body a little bit right now. Now, again, your only job is to be aware of how you are feeling physically and mentally with your horse right now. As your horse walks, I want you to begin to tune into the horse's movement. And I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, like, are you following the motion? Are you moving with your horse? Is your horse moving you? Are you blocking the motion? Are you moving against your horse? How does the motion feel? Are you like syncing with your horse, SYNC? Are you syncing things up nicely with your horse? Or are you a bit like causing a hollow back that you're actually sinking the whole ship, okay? These are big questions that we can ask ourselves right now. And again, we're not correcting, we're just noticing that as the horse is moving, you're going to go through the different parts of your body. Let's start again with the seat, the lower back. Is it moving freely with your horse? Or are you stiff? Maybe you're blocking things, as I said. I want you to focus on allowing your horse to move your hips and your seat. So often we try and force this. We push and we shove and we kind of force our way around. We scrub up there. I don't want you to do that. I want you just to be supple enough that you're allowing that movement through your hips and your seat now. And if you're thinking, well, there, Lorna, you just hit the nail on the head, and it is the lack of suppleness that I am definitely noticing, that's fine. I've got you covered. I've got a couple of resources at the end of this that I'm going to tell you about, okay? But I want you just to notice this. Think of your seat as being a little bit like a bicycle pedals pedaling backwards, okay? So if you can imagine a set of bicycle pedals, and they're going backwards, that's how it should feel for you. If you can really begin to identify that, that would be great. Now, with your upper body and your chest, I want you to think about how you're carrying yourself through your upper body. Are you collapsing? Are you carrying? Does it feel like you're sitting or you're standing? This is a big mistake riders make. So many riders, and we say we sit in the saddle, but so many riders get into the saddle and they literally look like they're in an armchair. They like sit or on a couch, a sofa, okay? They're about to watch a movie. And they slouch and they slump and they just sit. Now, I want it to feel like you're standing. When you're standing up, there's a certain feeling of how it feels through the upper half of your body. I know you stand on your feet, but you have to engage through the upper half of your body. You have to carry yourself in order to stay upright. I want you to try and think of that feeling. Does it feel like that, or does it feel like you're sitting? These are important questions to ask and to begin noticing through your body. Okay, let's turn the attention to your shoulders and your arms. Are your shoulders maybe a little bit curling up to your ears? If so, unpeel. Unpeel them back down. Get back down there, okay? Seriously, when we're carrying too much tension, we can often go around with our shoulders just being a little bit too high. I want you just to bring it down. Just relax through the shoulders. And then what about your elbows? Do you look like you're sleepwalking? Your elbows straight out in front of you. Or maybe your hands are really low and they're down by your knees. Your elbows are dead straight, but your hands are like down by your knees now, okay? Notice these things. These are all important things, okay? And finally, I want you to think about your balance and your symmetry. Are you centered, or are you maybe a little bit more to one side than the other? Okay, how does a good indicator of this is how does the weight feel in the stirrups? Would it be fairly even, would you say? Or are you kind of carrying a little bit more on one stirrup than the other? Maybe have a look down, a glance, a little glance. You're not going to look, you're not tipping that head down, hey? We're going to keep that chin up. But I want you to glance down with your eyes, and I want you to have a look at your knees. Are they fairly symmetrical, or is one knee maybe more forward or one knee higher than the other? What's going on there? Do things look symmetrical? And maybe you could even think about your hands. Are your hands fairly symmetrical? Would they be the same height from the ground, or is one hand lower than the other? These are all really, really important things to begin to notice and to bring your awareness to, because your body is constantly giving signals to your horse. You're always in communication with your horse when you're riding. So if you can make sure that as much as possible, those signals are the correct ones, you're going to be able to have a much more positive impact on what you and your horse are doing going forward. It's almost a little bit like dancing. You want to move with your horse, but there has to be a leader. Somebody's going to lead. And right now you're going to allow your horse to lead you. So you want to be supple. You know that you play a part. You have to be supple, but you also have to be in your own self-carriage, and you have to be ready to be led. Okay, it's an important kind of a part to it. And it'll feel like the energy is flowing rather than kind of riding with the handbrake on. We don't want to do that. No riding with the handbrake on, hey. Now we're going to start making a couple of little adjustments. So let's just start by correcting your posture and aligning your posture so as you're actually in the best possible place to apply your aids. When you're in the right place, it is going to make talking to your horse so much easier. It's also going to allow your horse to understand what you're saying much more easily as well. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to notice is the head, shoulder, hip, heel line. Imagine this, okay? So imagine I'm in the arena with you right now and I went boom and I clicked my fingers. And because I'm magic, I made your horse vanish. Your horse just disappeared. Where would you land? Would you end up on your feet? If so, well done. Another one of those in your head, pat in the backs, okay? Or would you end up on your face or on your bum? This line is really important. Head, shoulder, hip, heel. We want that line the whole way down. We want everything just in alignment. They're all just stacked on top of each other. Head, shoulder, hip, heel. Okay? Really, really important. The next line I want you to have a quick look at is the elbow, wrist, thumb, rein, bit line. I know that's a lot, eh? But just think from your elbow all the way down to the bit. Is there a lovely straight line there? Or have you got a little bit of a V going on? Maybe you have a little bit of a lightning bolt going on. Maybe you're curling through your wrists. We don't want that. We want straight lines. So from the top and from the side, line should look straight from your elbow to your horse's mouth. You want to think of your whole lower arm, elbow on, as being an extension of the rein, okay? No bends and no angles. Okay, I then want you to think about, again, this symmetry in the weight distribution. Are you sitting on your seat bones? Are your seat bones actually underneath you? Like, are they pointing down to the ground underneath you? Again, if you clicked your fingers, your seat bones, are they under you? And then think about if there was a line drawn from the cantle, the back of your saddle, all the way through the seat, the waist, up to the pommel of the saddle at the front. Would your seat bones be equal distances from that line? Or is one seat bone closer to the line than the other? You want to try and get it that there's equal distance. This is where you are going to begin making slight adjustments. You want to make sure that you have that head, shoulder, hip, heel line, that you have that lovely straight line from the elbow to the bit, and that your seat bones are equal distance from the center line of your saddle. If you can get all of those in a row, all those ducks, now you're onto a winner. Now you are ready to begin actually applying your aids in a way that your horse is going to be able to much more clearly understand. These things are really, really, really important. And remember that very often the smallest, the slightest little adjustments, they might create the biggest improvements, okay? So you want to just start off by making sure that your basics are right, that you're creating this foundation that you're going to be able to build on going forward. That's really, really, really important. Okay, so as you're making these changes, you want to keep on checking in with your horse. Is your horse responding? Now, if your horse is a horse who's a very gentle soul and a very forgiving soul and a very willing soul, he may not respond all that much. And this is because he has learned that maybe riders are more novice on him and they shuffle around a bit. And he's almost become a little bit dull to that for his own health and sanity reasons. Okay, can't be responding to every little shuffle in the saddle, hey? So I think that it is important to obviously take into account your horse's experience, but the more aware you become of yourself, you're going to notice then over time that the more effective you're going to be in the saddle. And the stronger the basics are, basically, the quicker and the easier you are going to find that you become a more effective and skilled rider. But it takes time, these basics. You have to get the basics onto autopilot. Okay, from here, I want you just to ask a couple of questions. What did you notice about your position and your balance? Like, what kind of stood out to you as being like, maybe a little bit of a no-no? Maybe you noticed something. And did you feel any excessive tension? If so, where did you feel it in your body? How well did you carry yourself, especially your hands and your upper body? Do I need to go and tie your hands out of your earlobes? I hope not. I'm joking. But really important, okay? We want to carry our hands. Your horse is carrying you, you can carry your hands. There we go. I want you to think about where you felt most connected to your horse through the movements. Like, where did you and your horse really feel like you were flowing and moving together? And maybe what small changes made the biggest difference, either to you or to your horse. And finally, are there any of those old habits that followed you into the saddle that you need to think about getting rid of? Okay, changing, swapping out for something else, a little bit of an upgrade, a glow up if you want, where it comes to your habits. Every single ride that you have going forward from here, you've got a chance to learn something about yourself and also your horse. And it's going to be the level of self-awareness that you bring to each ride that's going to actually dictate how you improve and how you and your horse make progress from here. Okay, so what to do next? I want you to decide where you need to focus next in your ride. Now, what I'm going to suggest is to either learn to begin controlling your seat a little better. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's neutral, whoa and go when it comes to your seat. I know they're very basic, okay? That's a very basic explanation. There's a lot more to it. Don't come for me because of that. But yeah, you have neutral, you have whoa, and you have go. And when you can learn how to use your seat to communicate those basic things to your horse, well, it makes sense that already you're ahead, okay? So if you're keen on doing that, I have a link to a previous podcast episode all on that for you. Okay, maybe you want to get a little bit more focused on the whole correct position, correct posture. If so, I have a podcast episode all about applying the click your fingers rule, that if your horse magically vanished, you'd land on your 2 feet, okay? I'm going to link to that as well. And then finally, if you struggled with the suppleness, remember I mentioned it, if you were like, whoa, there's not a whole lot of movement going on here at all, that's okay. Last year, I created a walking and yoga challenge with the help of my lovely sister. She's a yoga instructor, and it's for free. It's a 21-day challenge. It's only walking and yoga, but it will help you with the suppleness and also with just increasing your stamina and general fitness for riding as well. So you can find that over at equestrianfitnesschallenge.com. I'm going to link to all of this in the blog post for this episode. You can find it all over at stridesforsuccess.com/episode 1356. Everything is there. And then finally, if you're wondering, what can I do next? Get the 15 minutes or less worksheet that has 80 plus ideas for what you can do with your horse when you find yourself 15 minutes or less. Keep the momentum going. You're in the saddle now. You've done it. You got there. Look at that. You're winning already. Now you just need to keep the momentum going forward. Okay, I'm going to link to all of these things in the show notes for this episode. So if you want to scroll down wherever you're listening, but then again, everything will be linked at stridesforsuccess.com/episode 1356. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If there is a rider that you know of who you think is going to benefit from this, if they need help, just maybe getting in touch with the basics or just getting back in the saddle, won't you please share it with them, and let's help more equestrians all over the world. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Have a super day. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.